I have to say that when you look at both of them, they do not appear at first blush to be very similar.
If you want to be successful in life, you've got to pay the price.
Girl, I told you over and over again, you are not to date while crabbing. You only have time for practice and hard work. If you let me or any other upperclassman catch you doing this again, I'm suspending you. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now get up and get to your dorm. Practice at a certain time? Damn it, that's what I mean. And if you don't like the way things are run around here, you can leave like your other crab brothers.
And since you two were late for the last session, it states on page 19 in your Bible, any late or unexcused practice results in a $10 fine and hard time. Now, we're going to waive the fine this time, but you're going to do some hard time.
You're going to do some serious time, or else you're going to kick my ass.
Hey, look at this. You got a girl online. G.I. Jane in the house. Hey, baby, you might want to do some girl push-ups because, you know, guys like a little something soft to hold on to. Damn!
Hey, man, I wouldn't do that if I was you.
You'll get your handbook soon. We like to call it our Bible. I advise you to keep it in your pocket at all times. You will see here that on page 3, it says if you miss any more than 3 days of practice for any reason other than an emergency, you will be fined $25 and suspended.
Why don't you read the last page, brother?
Where's that white boy and that girl? I hope they quit too.
Hey, Stan, you're not gonna believe this, but speak of the devil.
Oh, Lord. But get your asses over here. And the rest of you crabs, stand at attention, and you better not move.
Unequivocal belief and teamwork. And if you wish to remain here, you better start believing in being on time.
We didn't have that in our band. Now you place it down. Place it down. Oh. You want to jump?
No, sir.
I didn't think so. Put it down.
Hey, yo, do your thing, kid.
People are sometimes surprised when they find out that we received gifts from anonymous folks.
He'll get you some financial aid next year, hook you up with a part-time job this summer, put some money in your pocket.
You know what? Y'all did a good job on our horns and shoes. So you know what that means? Nothing. Y'all still ain't crossing over.
What the hell y'all think this is? You don't be clapping around here. I mean, it's all right, wasn't all that. You had me think I would listen to some Tom Brown or some Chuck Mangione or some darn Miles Davis. What's wrong with you? You want to press me? You play Parliament Funkadelic backward G flat.
If you're here, it's because you believe in Coltrane, Miles Davis, Stevie Wonder, and the elements known as Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Man, that's sweet, man. How you doing?
Major, I've been hitting everything, man. It's going good.
Man, it's going on well.
I know.
We got a couple.
Yeah, the girl, the white boy.
Who's been keeping you up to date, man?
Don't worry about it. I got it. You know, I'm gonna get all the liquor in. Just what I'm talking about, right?
White boy?
Him, that girl.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I need to ride with y'all, man. Back in my day, you know, the old school always roll with the upper classes, so I need to roll with y'all. Stay right there, boy.
We got seat for you. That's no problem. That's no problem.
Class,
yeah, definitely.
Y'all ain't doing your job, man. You wouldn't have made it in my day.
Can't believe we ain't stepping to them fools. It's a straight up challenge. A&T going out like some punks.
Is this how they make you earn your scholarship?
Any upperclassman in this band can get you to do anything, any place, anytime. Once a marching tiger, always a marching tiger. Hell, a marching tiger from 1965 can come back and whoop your ass because he paid the price to do that.
That's right. I asked Mr. Miles why his roommate was late. He says he guesses he overslept. I asked why didn't you wake him, and he says he is not his mother. Section leaders, what is our concept?
One band, one sound.
One band, one sound.
We all look the same when people look at us from the outside. When you put that uniform on and walk on that field, people in the stands can't tell if you're a crab or a senior. When we're in a halftime frame of mind, things are a little bit different.
When one of us is late, we are all late. When one of us looks or sounds bad, we all look and sound bad. So what's the concept?
One band.
One sound.
When these people see you in the stand, they want to see one pop, one unison. They don't want to see the wave. Now let's get this right. One more time.
One band.
One sound.
I have to say that when you look at both of them, they do not appear at first blush to be very similar.
Would any objective individual viewing this footage acknowledge that these two movies are, at the very least, similar? Independent expert Dr. Linda Sager clearly documented 92 similar scenes between Pay the Price and Drumline. Should the subjective opinion of a judge override the opinion of an independent expert, not in accordance with summary judgment rules and regulations? Let's look at Dr. Sager's credentials. Dr. Sager clearly stipulated that these two movies were strikingly similar, meaning the defendants had access to Pay the Price when Drumline was created. The similarities were too specific, detailed, and numerous to be coincidental. Before hearing directly from Mr. Lassiter, remember, you cannot copyright or protect general ideas. For example, a movie about a girl and a boy falling in love and getting married is not original in accordance with the copyright definition of originality. However, your creative spin on that unoriginal idea, creatively expressed as no one else, is indeed original and protectable. Some additional similarities between Pay the Price and Drumline include:
Now that's what this great band looks like when it's showtime. Showtime?
What time is it? Showtime. What time is it? Showtime.
It's showtime!
Wake up, crabs! Get your asses up! Get up, move! It's time for practice! Get up! It's 4 o'clock! You have 30 minutes! Get up! Get up! Wake up! Wake up now! Crab, it's time for practice. Wake up! Wake up, it's 4 o'clock. You have 30 minutes. 30 minutes!
Despite common nicknames of freshmen in marching bands, Crabs is not a name used by most. Dr. Sager stated, "This is more than mere coincidence."
I want everybody to give me 10 laps. Now everybody give me 10 laps.
Now I want 10 laps from all those who are not their roommate's mama.
Boy, Stan, what is this? Who in the hell do you think you are? You wearing these school colors? You ain't no student here yet. Don't you see everybody else in white t-shirts?
Well, sir, I just
Shut up! You don't think. There ain't no room enough here for you to think.
What's up, Dr. Lee?
It's all good, Mr. Miles. Glad to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
You wear white t-shirts just like everybody else here. You ain't no student here yet, so you don't wear the colors.
Y'all can't wear my colors running like that.
And when you do become a student here, maybe then you can wear our colors.
Maybe you will one day have the honor and privilege to wear the school colors.
I'm the band president, he the drum major. We run this. Not your mama, not your daddy, not Prof, not the dean, not anybody.
That's right. We run this.
You don't know how your man Dr. Lee came all the way to the NY to sit in my living room and tell my mom how much this band needs me?
I don't give a damn if you stayed in your mama's bed. I own the drum line. You want to get down, you come through me. But take off my drum.
Any questions?
Observation. You know what, boy? I'm about tired of your ass. Well, what you want?
Okay, as far as I know, there are no other black college bands with white members, but there are lots of white bands with blacks. Now, don't you think that's just a little racist?
White boy, that took a lot of courage to splat that bull. But to answer your question, hell no, that ain't racist.
Well, I don't see any blacks going through what I have to go through just to be in a white band.
Well, that's true. But there are very few things in our culture that you all haven't stolen away.
Oh, so you think this is something you need to hold on to?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Don't even try that white man can't jump bullshit. I got skills, man. I'm just saying, in my high school, marching band was all about military precision. I could have been a P1 at Georgia Tech or UGA in a minute.
Okay. So what you here for then?
I love black people.
I'm only interrupted by this little girl. Now who in the hell are you? I mean, look, don't tell me you're just trying to come up here and make this band.
Well, yeah, I've always wanted to be here.
Oh, the real man, I love this band. I grew up right down the street. When I was little, I could hear him practicing down the block from my house. I'd be outside playing. I'm serious, y'all. Come on. Shoot. A&T's the reason I picked up a drum in the first place.
Black bands in the 1980s, when Pay the Price was filmed, were not integrated. Yet, integration in 2001, when Drumline was filmed, was a non-issue, and that most bands would be more integrated at that time. In a rewrite, a writer is often asked to be more consistent with the more contemporary period. Many notes suggested this, but the band remained a predominantly black band, just as in Pay the Price.
Another year comes to an end.
We're the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Another striking similarity is that Drumline used some of the exact same cast and crew as Pay the Price.
Mr. Wade, Morris Brown College.
Oh, nice to meet you, Devin.
Oh, I know who you are. I'm a big fan. You got away with the crowds.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we don't build no babies around here. We don't babysit.
Sexually, you better give them right.
$1,000 and a year's worth of bragging rights.
Some additional similarities include the plots, the subplots, Pay the Price is a low-budget independent film which cost $200,000 to produce. Drumline cost $20 million to produce. Having a larger budget should have allowed for larger sets, more scenes shot at several locations, more expensive directors, bigger offices instead of very contained productions. Dr. Sager stated that she was surprised to see that despite the huge difference in budgets, Drumline does not produce such distinct differences. The football scenes looked as if they were shot in one direction with one camera on one bleacher without the expected expensive reverse shots from the other side of the field. The band patterns are not more complex. There were no unusual different moving camera shots. Dr. Sager stated the look of the film is strikingly similar to the look of Pay the Price.
We are sitting down with Mr. Darrell Lassiter, producing screenwriter of Pay the Price. Darrell, thank you for being here.
Thank you, and you are welcome.
Can you give us some background on how you came up with the screenplay?
It was something that was always there in what I experienced as a student at Alabama State University. And I was in the band. I played 4 years in high school and 5 years in college. So the idea of a movie started way back then. In fact, tell you a story. We would sit around my freshman year. We had to go through an initiation to be in the band. All the black colleges did at that time, and some still do. But it was just like pledging or being in the military. And we went through so much. I mean, much more than I could even put in my movie, because I said people wouldn't even believe the stuff we went through. And we were sitting there and we all said, wow, this stuff is so crazy. This ought to be turned into a movie. And I just kept saying that and saying that and saying that. And then after Florida A&M did the commercial for Welch's Great Drink and Grambling did Coke, we were the third band asked to do a national commercial. We did one for Burger King. Right after that, all these stories about hazing on fraternities and marching bands came up, and either 2020 or 60 Minutes started to go and do investigation on these campuses. And I thought, with all this national exposure we're getting with the bands, somebody needs to write either a book, a TV show, or a movie. And I'd never seen any of that. And I researched, I went to the libraries, asked, nope, no one had a movie, no book, no TV show. So I thought I would do it. And I spent years trying to figure out who to get in touch with to make a movie about us. So that's where the idea came from. Just our living experiences, what we were going through at the time, when there came Pay the Price.
So when you were in college, did you keep a journal?
I didn't have to. It was in my head. It's in my head now.
The best journal.
Right.
The best.
Yeah, I didn't need a journal. I mean, you live that stuff for 12 hours a day as we were on the field in August, sometimes 14 hours a day. When you do that kind of regimen, hours and days and weeks and months and years, it's in your head like your Social Security. I don't need a journal.
When did you find out about Drumline similarities to Pay the Price?
Well, the way I truly found out was going to the theater. But months before that, I had an inkling. And what happened was, I was 2001. It was that fall. My casting director for Pay the Price called me and said, you might not know this, but 20th Century Fox is shooting, they're casting for a movie that's similar to yours, I think, because it's about bands. Then Cedric Young, who was my protege, who was also the band director at Clark, called me and said, hey man, Dallas Austin just left from over here, and looks like he's trying to do the same thing you did. He's asking me all these questions, and he even asked where was I going to have my next screening. And so Dallas Austin and all these guys wanted to come to New York to see my movie at the New York Film Festival. So he said, I smell something fishy here. Looks like they're trying to do exactly what you're trying to do. They want to use our band, Morris Brown's band, and it just sounds so much like yours. So he called me, and those two calls, Cedric and my casting director, kind of made me aware that it was possible that it was coming. Well, Cedric became one of the advisors. So yeah, Dallas Austin was invited to come to the film festival in New York. I wasn't sure if he came or not because there were so many people there, but I know Fox came because they actually met me, took pictures with Fox, they left me the voicemail, the whole thing. All right. Well, after all of this, and Cedric Young invited me to come on the set, and I refused, then that following January or February or whatever is when they wrapped, which would have been in 1992. Then I started getting calls from other people who had worked on the movie, and some of my actors who were asked to come back and what they call do automatic dialogue replacement. So if, like the girl named Zoe, who was the lead female in Drumline, who now they couldn't pay to come back and say a line, they got my girl Crystal Porter, who's in my movie, to come back and replay some of her dialogue. So I was able to always get information as to what was going on with the movie, just because half the people they used were the same people I had used, and they were still loyal to me. So they were constantly feeding me information, and I was constantly staying away from it. Exactly. Well, when their movie got the release date of December 13, 2002, I said, well, I can't say anything because everyone wanted me to file a lawsuit. I said, well, if I file a lawsuit now, they can go and re-edit the movie before it's released and then say, until they release it, they haven't committed a crime. So I waited until the movie came out, and that day I went to the theater with a notebook and I wrote down every scene that was similar to mine. So that's when I truly knew that it was similar. Other than that, it was just another movie about bands.
My goodness.
But then I found out you use Clark Atlanta's band like I did. You use Morris Brown's band like I did. You use Gremlin's band like I did. My school had the Panthers, they had the Panthers. We played In the Stone by Earth, Wind & Fire, they played In the Stone by Earth, Wind & Fire. I played the Michael Jackson songs, they did that. We had the old school versus new school, they did that. I had the freshmen fall in love with the upperclassmen, they did that. I had our freshmen called crabs, they had theirs called crabs. I had the white t-shirts, the black shorts, they did it. It was on and on and on and on. And so when I did file the suit, I had Fox's attorneys, and this is a typical white-black thing where white people think we do all the same things. Their thought was, well, all black bands do this. And I had to then go and prove to them that that wasn't the case. So I went to Mississippi Valley State. They don't even do any kind of initiation. They don't wear any kind of white t-shirts or any of that stuff. In fact, they don't even dance. That's another one of the myths, is that all black bands dance, and that's not even true. So I went to other black colleges just in the state of Georgia, Fort Valley, Savannah State, and the school out of Augusta, Payne. They were totally different. They didn't do early morning practices, they didn't do any hazing, and then my band was the band that had one white guy, just like Drumline. I had the one female, just like Drumline. And it's like, there's just way too many similar things in here. And then half my cast worked on theirs, half my crew worked on theirs. Same location, same music, same everything. And then I had to also go tell them when they kept saying, well, this is like Dallas Austin would say, who lied and said he was in a band and went to a black college, found out he dropped out of high school in the 9th grade, didn't go to any college, was never in a band. But that's how he was able to fool his way through, and the media never ever questioned it. He would just say, this is based on my life being a drummer in a band. The one question no one ever asked was, what band were you in? Somebody's going to ask that question. You can't get out of that because somebody's going to be able to prove that's wrong. So if he said I was at Tennessee State or Grambling, there's going to be somebody that said that's a lie. But not one TV station, not one radio station, not one newspaper ever said, what band were you in? I just don't even understand how someone says something is based on their life and you don't follow up to say, where did you go? But so there's never a record of him saying it because no one ever asked. And so when Dallas Austin kept saying, if you made a movie about the military or about sports or the police department, they'd all be the same. I went and found 5 different movies on World War II, were not alike at all. 4 or 5 movies on the Vietnam War, not alike at all. 4 or 5 movies on the police department or sports or whatever. So how come 2 movies about a black college band have to be the same?
The similarities, I mean, they are so obvious. Well,
only 2 people on earth has made a movie about a black college marching band, but anyone could have done it.
You're a local screenwriter. How would Hollywood or someone in Hollywood get access to your script?
My freshman year was 1981. My last year was 85.
Yes.
And 6 years later, in 91, was when I got the idea. And that was from working on In the Night. And then I said, well, I can't find anybody else to do this movie, so I'll do it myself. And at the time, all I was thinking was just to write the script, because I didn't know if I could produce or direct a movie. It was just me get the script to get it to someone else, because I wanted somebody to put on the screen what we went through in an HBCU marching band. After I did that, I had to find out who I could go to, and I thought about New Line Cinema, because when we were in school, the big movies when I was in college were the Eddie Murphy movies, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and then those horror movies, the Halloweens and the Nightmare on Elm Streets and things. And so New Line Cinema was the company putting all those movies out. So I went to them first, wrote them a letter, they sent me a letter back, and they wanted me to let them change it up, and I just wasn't hearing any of that. I then went to California and started setting up meetings at Warner Brothers and all those different studios. And I remember this, I went to Warner Brothers, and this man took me to a closet, and he opened the closet door, and all of these scripts came flying out the room. He said, I have all of these scripts to read first before I can even look at yours. So, and I've had these for years. So that was like just an eye-opening experience that he had that many scripts to go through. So I figured I'd go to Disney and Paramount and Sony and 20th Century Fox and all of them. And I wrote them, I set up meetings myself, took them my script, heard the same thing. I was offered a little bitty piece of money, but they were gonna make changes I had no control over, or no one wanted to see a movie about a band. And I would hear that a lot too. Who wants to see a movie about a band? What's so special about a band? And I just couldn't get anybody to understand our history. Like I was saying, back in between 91 and 98, when I was traveling to New York and LA, setting up those meetings, that's how I ended up leaving my script with them. But when 94, I ended up working on a music video for Monica. It was Monica, the R&B artist. Her very first song was called Don't Take It Personal. Yes. And I worked on that music video. Dallas Austin was her producer. We were down at Banneker High School sitting on the bleachers. And then it hit me again. That's why this just reminds me of being back in the band. We're sitting back out there. And so Dallas Austin was sitting next to me. And I said to him I wanted to set up a meeting and give something to him, because I had heard he was trying to do movies and TV shows and whatever. So this was September of 94. I set up the meeting, went over, took the script to him. He denied me like everyone else did too. Well, 5 years later, after I made my movie, and then we won the New York Film Festival, came in first place.
Excellent.
Went to Los Angeles, they took it to the Cannes Film Festival in France. All that stuff was happening, and I was on all the radio stations and TV stations and newspapers and the Variety magazine, the Hollywood Reporter, because no one had done a movie like this. And especially with this amount of money too, you know. So the studios were there at the film festival in New York, 20th Century Fox in particular. They asked for the movie and the screenplay. I sent it to both of them. I kept a record of every time somebody asked me for something. I made them leave a voicemail, so I would have a recording of it. So Fox left me a voice message that I have to this day of saying, "Hi, I'm such and such from 20th Century Fox. We want your movie, whatever." Now, they denied that they ever placed a call to me until I produced the tape during deposition.
My name is Justin Marks, and I'm calling from Fox Searchlight Pictures in New York. We were actually interested in the possibility of getting some kind of a video or there's something for Pay the Price. If you could just give me a call at 212-556-8258 sometime today, verbally, or this weekend. Great.
And then you had to admit that. So
Yes.
not only did they have to admit it, but then Dallas Austin had to admit it, his assistant had to admit it, Fox in LA had to admit that they had access to my screenplay, to my synopsis, to my trailer, and to my movie. I had the clear ownership and the clear access, not just my screenplay, because people always want to reduce it down to, oh, they took your script. No, they took my movie. That's a bigger difference than they just took my 105-page screenplay. They had that, Fox in New York, Fox in LA, Dallas Austin. They had my movie, Fox in LA, Fox in New York, Dallas Austin. They had my trailer, all three of them. They had all of that. And they all admitted that they had access. So here, you're talking about a person who had access and the three people admitting they have access. Here I have ownership and proof of ownership. Here I have an expert witness who's could care less who wins or whatever, with more stuff than I have, and yet I'm still not able to go to trial. I knew it was gonna cost a lot of money, okay? And I didn't have the money that I thought it would take to file a lawsuit like this against the giant as 20th Century Fox, which my intentions were never to go against 20th Century Fox. It was always to Dallas Austin, because I thought that too stole my movie. Exactly. That's like the biggest part of all of this whole thing. It wasn't so much the studio. So I went in, an attorney came to me first, because I was on TV right after Drumline premiere, and everyone started calling me, attorney, saying, I can represent you, I can do this. And so I would look at their credentials and I say, but you're not gonna be big enough to fight them. And I turned them down left and right. So this firm out of Montgomery, Alabama, came over, and they tried it, and 4 or 5 months later, they had to walk away. They then tried to put me in touch with Johnny Cochran's firm here in Atlanta. Johnny Cochran's firm called me back and said, well, we can't do it because Dallas Austin is a client of ours. And so that's a conflict for us. So then I had this other attorney, he ended up committing suicide. So I thought then, I said, man, this is weird. I mean, I happened to be at work one day. And here's the funny thing. I was working at Fox 5 here in Atlanta, which is an affiliate of 20th Century Fox.
Yes.
I'll go back to that part, but I was working at Fox the day I found out my attorney committed suicide. I'm sitting in the newsroom. I get a call at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was doing the morning show, the Good Day Atlanta show.
Yes.
And they said, this attorney committed suicide. And I said, what's his name? Damian Turner. That's his name. And I was like, what? And at first they said, this attorney was killed. That's what they said. And so I thought to myself, well, this sounds like some gangster stuff here. The attorney I'm getting to file my lawsuit, all of a sudden he's killed. Am I next? And I'm working at Fox. You see what I'm saying? So yes. I'm backing off this, but then I ended up finding he committed suicide. Well, when he did that, I then had someone else say, well, you ever thought of you ever find out who Willie Gary is? I heard of Willie Gary, and then he started saying, oh, he took down Anheuser-Busch, he won against Disney, all these big companies. And I said, well, if I can get to him, but one thing I'm going to say up front is I don't have one dime. So if they can't take my case on contingency, there's no need of us even talking. Well, he did take it, and that's who ended up becoming the attorney. But once I filed it, and we had this big old press conference here in Atlanta, and CNN was there, BET was there, all the news people were there. Fox, because I was working at Fox 5, and it's an affiliate of all the Fox companies of Fox. The lady from 20th Century Fox sent an email to all Fox employees. This guy, whoever this is bogus, is whatever. Didn't know I was working in the system. So I got the email.
Exactly.
And then somewhere, because she kept sending emails to all employees or whatever, and then someone whispered back to LA and said, he works here. So we better be careful on what we're saying. Mm-hmm. The next day I was fired.
Wow. My goodness.
And when I filed my suit, went through all the rejections and all the stuff I went through with that, and then the appeal process, and then 2 years of waiting for the appeal to go through, and then you go back through it, and my attorney said, well, we appealed Disney twice and all that. Then they didn't appeal mine twice. They just walked away, including the LA firm that was helping us. They all just disappeared and left me hanging. So then I had to go out and find another firm. I got another firm out of Alabama who said, well, we'll take it and we'll rewrite your appeal or whatever. They went and did that, got rejected, and then they said, well, the next thing you can do here is take it to the Supreme Court. Then these people said, okay, well, you have 90 days from today to do that. So all the way through, they were telling me, oh, we got the attorney that got Rosa Parks out of jail, Fred Gray, and all of them are Alabama State alum. I know them personally. I knew Rosa Parks. She was probably the most famous person to ever go to my school. I knew Fred Gray. He's still alive. All the people that helped with the whole civil rights thing for us, the attorneys, they were going to come in and help write my thing for the Supreme Court. Well, on the 88th day out of the 90 days, they just said, I don't think we're going to do it anymore. So I had 2 days to file the thing for the Supreme Court. So I did it myself. I wrote the Supreme Court to find out, how do you rewrite this thing? Wrote it. The Supreme Court sent me this package back and said, you were 1 day late. Your attorneys misled you. We were at least been willing to listen to it. That doesn't mean you were gonna go sit in front of 9 judges on the Supreme Court, but at least they were gonna put it in the thing to have someone listen to it. But if you 1 day off, they send it right back to you. And then I sent another thing back to them saying, but I didn't know. I went by what my attorney said. They said, sorry. I even called up and they were very nasty. Let's just be honest.
Yes.
Very nasty. And I thought that was horrible for a federal agency to just be that cutthroat and just dry. And I'm trying to explain, they just hanging up. I called right back. I'm thinking, could that be a mistake? Did you really mean to hang up on me? And it was the, what you call it, the clerk for the judge or whatever it was. And so after I did all that, I just said, all these attorneys being paid, you knew long before the 88th day that you were not going to do it. After telling me every week, oh, we got this going, oh, I got this person, and then all of a sudden, nothing.
And where did you go from there?
I went to depression.
Now, that's real though, Dad.
Yeah.
We laugh about it, but it's a real part of this whole entire process.
Right, it is.
That we go through.
Yo, it landed me in the hospital. It was a mess. My dad had a stroke 2 years earlier, and I then started to watch what I was eating and the whole high blood pressure thing and all that stuff. I had never had any high blood pressure or any of that stuff. Here I was 2 years later, my doctor said I was at stroke level with the stress of the whole lawsuit, the being released at Fox. Once I was released, that was 60% of my income. And it wasn't because of performance. It was because I filed a lawsuit, because somebody stole something from me.
The family and friends that were around you constantly, how were they able to help you?
Well, I really don't know how anybody helped me, because I felt like I was all on an island by myself. Even when I would have people say, we feel for you and we're there for you, and they don't understand. Unless you've been through this, nobody can tell you that. In fact, my wife and I just this morning were talking about, if you're pregnant and another woman has never had a baby, there's nothing she can tell you about what you're feeling inside. Absolutely nothing. You can't. So if someone has never written, produced, and directed a movie, you can't tell me what it's like to direct a movie. I don't even want to hear from you. So if you hadn't filed a federal lawsuit, a copyright infringement lawsuit, and gone through the depositions and the appeal process and all the corruption and the sneaky and the hiding stuff that goes on with lawyers, you have no idea. You have no earthly idea what that feels like. I talk to people all the time who've been through these kind of lawsuits. And it don't have to be a movie. It could be a t-shirt idea. It could be a trademark of a car design. All of them are similar in the stuff you have to deal with. All the discovery you go through with the law. All that stuff. That's all I really talk. Those are the only people I really talk to about this, because they're the only ones understand. I can't even tell my parents what I've gone. They know 10% of what I went through. Because when I tell them some of the other stuff, either my mother's gonna be crying or my dad's gonna shoot somebody. So it is that crazy. It can make you literally commit suicide, because you spent so much time. I'm 46 years old. I started writing Pay the Price in 91. That's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's almost half my life. More than a third of my life I have spent on one project. And when you have someone say, oh, just write another one. Well, the person that designed the Eiffel Tower didn't design a second Eiffel Tower. You designed the one. And that's the only one there's ever been. They still can't rebuild the World Trade Center 8 years later. That we know just 2 buildings straight up in the air. It's not just easy to replace something that was lost. And not that I'm comparing the lawsuit or someone stealing something from you to a rape, but the same victimizing feeling is there, and sometimes worse, that you never, the part that is the same is that you never get over it. That's the part that is equal in that. And it's like you spend so much time on something and you're so close, and then they have it snatched all the way back. And it makes you, when you hear somebody talk about Drumline or see Drumline, or I walk in Walmart and I see the DVDs, and you just say, wow, that's something that was started by me, but I'm not getting credit for it. And hardly anyone's believing that I came up with this. That's a very hard thing to accept and deal with. And then I have little cousins who are 8, 9, 10 years old. They weren't even born when I did my movie, and they have their little parties and say, I want to see Drumline. And then you have to say, well, that was my movie. Then your own cousins don't even believe me. And that's how crazy that gets. And we were just talking about like a bank. If somebody walked into a bank and took $2 million out of a bank, the bank is going to be insured. There's going to be heavy investigation on that. They're going to get that money back. They're going to punish the person who's going to jail. And the bank wasn't poor before they lost the $2 million. You're not in that same situation. You don't have the insurance. You have to find your own attorneys. No one gonna come to you and investigate and put that person in jail, and you don't get that back. And you're usually poor. Most independent filmmakers, where I am, they're starting with selling fish to buy stationery paper to print their letters on. I mean, it's that deep. And so I don't even know how to put it in words as to what you go through. But I tell you what, my federal lawsuit was the biggest and the hardest thing I've ever done, ever. And it's the toughest thing I've had to deal with. It's the thing I've dealt with the longest. It is, and it's the thing that could have been the most rewarding had it been done right. So it's very painful. It's does it make you want to go out and kill people and all that? I wouldn't say that, but however, I say if you in the room with the person you think did that to you, I don't know. I tell you what, I don't know, but it ain't like I'm gonna be having no dinner with them. And they can never compensate you for what you lost.
Despite all the similarities and the independent, detailed expert testimony, Mr. Lassiter's case was dismissed on summary judgment, basically stating that if Darrell Lassiter went to trial, there was no way he could win. There were no material fact issues to try.
Yo, too bad I can't save myself from the crime side. It's everywhere you look, we trapped in it until the day that we die. The crime side, too bad I can't save myself from the crime side. It's everywhere you look, we trapped in it until the day that we die. The crime side of the crime side, where the weak commit suicide. Stay on the streets, making a living, escape prison. Finally I found out a way to keep my mind from decaying. I play ball in the yard till they called down my lawyer, she lied to me.